On the Car and Bike Show this week, it is a massive shootout in the subcompact SUV space. The new second generation Maruti Brezza takes on our segment leader previously, the Hyundai Venue, and also the very strong Kia Sonet. That's coming up, but first let's take a look at the latest e-tron family member from Audi. The Q8 e-tron now joins the electric bandwagon.
It was in 2018 that Audi took the wraps of its first ever electric car, the Audi e-tron. Since then, the company has sold over 150,000 units of the e-tron SUV globally. For 2023, Audi has decided to update and rebrand the e-tron to Audi Q8 e-tron. Yes, you heard it right. The e-tron will now be called the Q8 e-tron, and it gets a whole lot of updates. Think of it as a brand new car actually. Audi will offer the electric SUV in three variants: the Q8 e-tron, the SQ8 e-tron and the Q8 e-tron Sportback. Currently, Audi has 8 fully electric cars in its portfolio, and by 2026 it will have over 20 EVs. And 2026 onwards, Audi will launch only fully electric models globally. Like we said earlier, the new Q8 e-tron is almost a new car in its own right. The front end is very different from the e-tron of the old. With a swankier two-tone trapezoidal grille with a black 2D Audi badging. The front bumper is completely new too, and the headlights get a subtle redesign as well. The rear is more or less similar to the outgoing model. And the silhouette stays the same as well. The B pillars have Audi lettering to distinguish the car from the older model. Overall, the car does have renewed appeal thanks to the extensive updates to the face. The redesign up front has also led to a reduction in the drag coefficient of the Q8 e-tron models from 0.26 to 0.24 for the Sportback variant and 0.28 to 0.27 for the regular variant. The Q8 e-tron continues to get generous dimensions, offering enough room and comfort for passengers. The SQ8 e-tron and the SQ8 Sportback e-tron though are each 2mm lower and 39mm wider than the SUV model. In terms of performance, the Q8 e-tron range gets 3 drivetrain options: the 50, the 55 and the top spec SQ8 range. The maximum range is offered on the 55 models, with the SUV getting a range of 582 km and the Sportback getting a range of 600 km. The most powerful models, of course, will be the S range with a massive 973 Nm of peak torque. The new Q8 e-tron will also be fitted with air spring suspension, a recalibrated steering and retuned chassis control systems, making the car even more dynamic in terms of ride and handling. Or so Audi claims. The interior design and the features stay the same as before. There will be a large panoramic sunroof, optional 4-zone climate control, air quality package and a variety of upholstery to choose from. Audi says that there are various components in the new Q8 e-tron which have been made from recycled materials, used textiles and residue fiber. Then of course, the cabin will continue to get the 2 high-resolution displays, MMI touch response system, virtual cockpit, integrated Wi-Fi and Audi Connect platform as well. The Q8 e-tron range now gets two battery options to choose from. There is a 95 gross kilowatt-hour unit on the Q8 50 e-tron models and a 114 gross kilowatt-hour unit on the Q8 55 e-tron models. The batteries can be charged from 0 to 80% in 31 minutes, offering a range of up to 420 kilometers from a fast charger. The cars can be charged fully in 9 hours from a 11 kilowatt-hour charger, while the bigger battery needs a little less than 12 hours to charge from a regular AC socket. The European market debut of the new Audi Q8 e-tron will happen in February 2023, with India launch expected to be a few months later, probably in the second half of the next year. It will go up against the Mercedes-Benz EQC, the BMW iX and the Jaguar I-Pace in India. Prices for the current range of the Audi e-tron in India start at 1.01 crores for the standard e-tron and go up to 1.19 crores for the e-tron Sportback. Expect a premium of about 10 to 15 lakh rupees on the current prices on the 2023 Audi Q8 e-tron range when it is launched in India.
The subcompact SUV space has been abuzz with multiple launches this year. First was the Maruti Suzuki Brezza. It comes with a new powertrain, it comes with new exterior styling as well as a plusher interior. Then we have the Hyundai Venue, which also got an update, but majorly was only a cosmetic and there's no changes to the mechanicals of it. And the third one is the Kia Sonet, which has been the only constant since its launch. Of course, the badging being the only change. The fourth car that is missing from our shootout is the Tata Nexon, and that's because Tata couldn't provide us with a unit here in Delhi. But nonetheless, we have all three cars here, and today we will help you make a decision on which car would be the most unique proposition in your garage. There's no denying the fact that looks are subjective, but having said that, all three cars have a unique set of styling elements that sets them apart. Let's take a quick look at it.
The Maruti Suzuki Brezza has entered its second generation with not only visual improvements but also a new heart. It is the first Maruti car to include a sunroof, a feature that the Koreans have had since the beginning. A tad bit late to the game, but a great touch nonetheless. With a redesigned grille, the subcompact SUV maintains its striking exterior. A new pair of LED headlights, a redesigned lower section gives the Brezza a rugged appearance. The silhouette is also mostly unchanged with a reprofiled rear. The Hyundai Venue has styling influenced by the company's worldwide design language. It's bold, quirky, and certainly adds a lot of first-time appeal. But it may polarize opinions. Nonetheless, the Venue keeps many of the creative looks that made it an immediate sensation. The Kia Sonet is the only car in our shootout that hasn't seen a substantial stylistic upgrade since its debut. Apart from the new logo, the SUV stays the same and yet looks trendy. The bold grille, sleek LED headlights and red accents courtesy of the GT line make the Sonet stand out in a crowd. It was also the first in the segment to add a connecting light strip at the back, which is now a typical occurrence in this segment. Overall, the trio have done an excellent job in keeping up with modern design. bringing a dash of youthfulness to otherwise dull designs from the past. However, it is the Sonet that stands out as a more appealing subcompact SUV.
Like the exterior of these cars, the interiors are also pretty well spec'd. They are loaded with a lot of new features. So let's quickly take a look at which car offers the best features.
Even the interior of the Brezza has been completely redesigned to seem significantly more inviting than earlier. The use of contrasting materials seem modern, while a 360-degree view and a 9-inch infotainment screen ups the ante for the manufacturer with a likable appeal. Archiness speakers with surround sound and a configurable HUD contribute to the overall feel. The cabin of the venue feels lackluster, despite the designer's excellent work on the exteriors. The seats aren't particularly comfy, the infotainment system could have been larger, and while being a luxury product, the texturing on the door panels appear monotonous. Voice commands for Alexa and part electrically adjustable front seats are only a consolation. In terms of overall build quality and materials utilized, the Sonet feels the most premium in the shootout. I absolutely love the Bose speakers, and while the Brezza and Venue have somewhat superior overall sound, the unit on the Sonet is without a doubt the finest in the segment. The Sonet is also the only one in this test to have ventilated seats, albeit only on the top spec models.
Space is an equally important aspect when you speak about cars of this size. So let's take a look at how the rear seat spacing and the boot space are offered in all three cars.
The latest generation Brezza is roomier and provides a more comfortable seating. However, the Venue provides passengers in the back with the most relaxing squabs needed for prolonged travels. The Sonet falls short here with insufficient head or knee room for taller passengers, and that can be attributed to the sloping roofline. All three have USB ports and rear air conditioning vents. Despite the Sonet having a larger boot, we believe Maruti has done an excellent job decking the car, since the Brezza has come a long way from its predecessor. All three SUVs have a slew of engine and transmission options to meet a variety of purposes. Brezza is built for a smooth ride and great fuel economy, while the Venue and the Sonet are tailored for performance. We picked the Brezza in its automatic version, and while the Venue and the Sonet both have the same turbo engine, we chose the IMT and DCT for the Koreans to give our audience a unique perspective.
Now with the Maruti Suzuki Brezza, you get the new 1.5-litre petrol engine coupled with a mild hybrid system. It also gets a new 6-speed torque converter as the gearbox option, along with a manual option, but the one that we have today is the torque converter. Now this engine is not the most spirited when it comes to off-the-mark inputs or even performance wise. It does not really compare with the turbocharged versions of the Koreans, but it in its own right though, it is quite quick, it is quite comfortable, And even when you rev hard, the engine does want to respond, but it's not the best, not the most refined one when it comes to performance. But when you speak about NVH levels or cabin noise, the Brezza is possibly the most well-tuned one. The dampers and the springs work really well there, so that any noise outside the cabin does not seep in to the passengers inside the car. Off the mark, it is punchy. The engine has a nice grunt to it that you can also hear it inside the cabin. But apart from that, the damping and the NVH levels are pretty much maintained in the car, and you don't really get to hear any of the outside noises. But the gear shifts are pretty slick, they're quite smooth, and once you get past 2000 RPM mark, that's when the engine really comes into life. And the gearbox and the engine have been married very well, so you don't really miss out on any of the turbo feel that you are craving for. But what this particular variant misses out on are the drive modes, the different drive modes that you get on the Sonet that is missing on it, and the difference is quite evident, you get to feel it. But apart from that, overall the car is pretty much good, it rides well, and it is probably the best car in this segment for rear passengers, as in with respect to the comfort that it gives to the rear passengers. On the go, the Sonet is the best performer car in the segment. It is tuned for high performance, and it is also one of the best handling cars in the segment, and that's slightly courtesy of the better springs that the car gets than the Venue. Apart from that, the gear shifts are slick and smooth, but only for the upshifts. When you are downshifting and going into a corner, it's not the ideal scenario, because the gear gets slightly confused and does not downshift in time. So that is the biggest concern that I have with the car, which till now has been absolutely brilliant.
The Brezza impresses in terms of economy due to its mild hybrid technology. In this regard, the range on the turbo units deplete rapidly when I push the pedal to the metal, as the real-world figures are much lower than the claimed numbers. Each manufacturer prioritizes safety and has made significant efforts in this area. 6 airbags are standard on the Brezza, and so are ABS with EBD, sensors for reverse parking, and electronic stability program with hill hold assist. The Venue also receives all of these. However, the top trim has 4 airbags as well as a smart pure air purifier with virus and bacteria protection. The same is true for the Sonet, with up to 6 airbags on higher grades. The petrol engines in all 3 vehicles are available with both manual and automatic gearbox. While the Brezza has a single petrol choice, both Koreans have 2 petrol engine options and a single diesel engine option. Only the Sonet though receives an automated version for its diesel format. Hyundai also offers the sporty N line, although at a higher price. Kia too with the X line. However, the Venue is the most affordable in the class.
So that was our comparo between the Kia Sonet, the Venue and the Brezza. So let's get down to the bottom line. If you're looking for a driver's car, then there's nothing that beats the Kia Sonet. If you want something that prioritizes on rear seat comfort, then there's nothing better than the Hyundai Venue. And if you want something that has a balance between ride, features and of course power, then there's nothing that you can find fault in the Maruti Suzuki Brezza.